In some time past, in a town called Enin, there was a man named Samuel. Samuel was a wealthy widower, kind, humble, and deeply respected. He had 2 children, a boy named Idiongo and a girl named Atima, whom he loved dearly. Years ago, Samuel had lost his wife, Hannah, during childbirth. Since then, he believed his heart could never heal enough to love again, nor did he think he would ever remarry. Samuel spent his days working tirelessly to provide for his children, pouring his love into their upbringing, and shielding himself from the pain of loss. He thought that his love for Hannah was forever lost, buried deep within his heart. But life, as it often does, has a way of surprising us. One day he met a girl named Ada. She was from a humble background, poor in wealth but rich in virtue. Ada was simple, kind-hearted, and humble. She had a gentle smile that warmed everyone she met. She was different from other women Samuel had encountered. There was a quiet strength in her, and her sincerity shone through her every word and deed. At first, Samuel did not notice her much. It wasn't love at first sight. But day by day, as he watched her tend to the children and carry herself with such grace and humility, he found himself drawn to her. Her virtues, her kindness, her hopefulness, her humility, began to seep into his heart. He started feeling alive again, as if he had found a part of his late wife in her. Ada's cheerful spirit rekindled a warmth within him that he thought was forever lost. Slowly, without realizing it, Samuel fell deeply in love with her. One evening, overwhelmed by his feelings, Samuel decided to ask her to marry him. But before he did, he shared with her a difficult truth. He could not father children. His medical condition made it impossible. Ada listened carefully, then looked at him with a gentle smile. "But yet you have 2 children." "That was just a miracle, which I'm not sure will happen again," he replied. She said softly, "I believe that miracles happen. Maybe, just maybe, it will happen for me." Her face lit up with hope, and a gleam of joy shone in her eyes. Hearing her words, Samuel felt a warmth swell within him. She reminded him of his late wife, hopeful, cheerful, and full of life. A smile broke across his face. Despite the obstacle of his medical condition, her willingness to marry him made him feel grateful and eager to make her his wife. 1 week later, Samuel met with Ada's parents to ask for her hand in marriage. They accepted happily, and the wedding was set for exactly 1 month later. During that month, Samuel poured his love and resources into making the village a better place for Ada and her family. He knocked down the old, dilapidated house where her family lived and built a new, modern home, strong, beautiful, and comfortable. He drilled a borehole to bring clean water to the village, and he even paved a dirt road that connected Ada's home to the main village path. To everyone's delight, he also brought electricity into the village for the first time. News of Samuel's good deeds spread quickly. The villagers watched in awe as a wealthy man from outside their community had come to bring change, bringing light, roads, and hope. The people felt grateful to Ada for bringing such a generous man to their midst. They celebrated her with joy and gratitude, already calling her the girl who had brought a miracle. At last, the day of the wedding arrived. The entire village was alive with excitement. Brightly colored cloths fluttered in the breeze, and the air was filled with the scent of traditional foods and sweet perfumes. The village square had been transformed into a grand celebration space. A large canopy of woven mats and bright cloths stretched out under the shade of tall trees, and tables were laden with delicious foods: yams, maize, roasted meats, and sweets. People gathered from near and far, dressed in their finest clothes, their faces glowing with happiness. Children giggled and played, women sang songs of celebration, and men stood proudly watching the bride and groom. Ada looked radiant in a simple yet elegant dress made from an expensive fabric. Her face shone with joy, and her eyes sparkled with hope. Idiongo and Atima, dressed in their best clothes, stood by her side, proud and happy. Samuel, dressed in a fine traditional outfit, looked proud and humble at the same time. As he took Ada's hand, He felt a surge of gratitude and love. The village elder, with a voice full of warmth and wisdom, performed the wedding rites. He blessed their union, praying for happiness, health, and prosperity. As the ceremony continued, the villagers erupted into applause and cheers. The bride and groom exchanged vows, promising to love and cherish each other, to support and protect one another through good times and bad. When Samuel finally kissed Ada, the entire community erupted into joyful shouts and claps. The air was thick with happiness, an overwhelming feeling of unity, hope, and new beginnings. Children danced around, women sang songs of love, and men nodded with satisfaction. It was a day that would be remembered in the village for a long time, a day when love, kindness, and community came together in perfect harmony. After the joyful celebration, Samuel and Ada journeyed to their new home, a bright, spacious house Samuel had built just for her. The night was calm, wrapped in a gentle silence that felt like the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. As they laid together that evening, Samuel looked at his wife with deep affection. It was their first night as husband and wife, and he wanted to understand her more. Gently he asked, "Ada, I hope you don't mind me asking. You mean you were still a virgin?" Ada's cheeks flushed with a shy blush. She looked down for a moment before answering softly, "Yes, I was still a virgin." Samuel's eyes widened with surprise, but then a warm smile spread across his face. "Why? What were you waiting for?" She looked up, her voice trembling with honesty. "I was waiting for you. What I mean is, I made a vow to myself. The first and only man I will ever be with is my husband." Hearing her words, Samuel felt a surge of joy and gratitude. Her faithfulness and hope touched something deep inside him. He reached out and took her hands gently. "Ada, I promise you, nothing will ever break us. I vow to love you forever, until my last breath. I will keep a bank of forgiveness in my heart, so much that no matter what wrong you might do, you will never run out of my patience or love." He paused, his eyes shining with sincerity. "But one thing, please do not beat my children. I know children can be naughty sometimes. If they offend you, tell me. If I am away, wait for me to return, and I will discipline them myself. I want us to be kind and patient together." Ada nodded firmly, her heart swelling with love and trust. She agreed to his words, and they embraced, feeling the strength of their vows. From that night onward, she promised herself to be patient and kind, refusing to punish the children harshly, choosing instead to understand and support them. Time passed, and life flowed smoothly. Ada and Samuel worked together and raised the children with love and discipline, and everyone was happy. Then, one miraculous day, after a year and 7 months of marriage, Ada discovered she was pregnant. The news spread joy throughout the household. It was a miracle. Ada was overwhelmed with happiness, and Samuel's face lit with pride and excitement. 9 months later, she gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. Samuel was so overjoyed that he bought her a shiny, luxurious car as a gift, something to celebrate the new life they had created together. The little girl grew quickly, and before long she was beginning to walk. One sunny morning, as she played happily in the sitting room, she reached out and grabbed a toy that her older half-sister was playing with. The sister, annoyed, tried to take the toy back. The baby clung to it tightly, crying loudly and screaming. In her frustration, the sister forcefully snatched the toy away, causing the baby to fall face-first on the floor. The baby's lips were bitten, and she cried out in pain. Seeing her hurt, Ada's heart filled with anger. She could no longer hold back her rage. Without thinking, she scolded and then physically punished her stepdaughter, hitting her so hard that the girl was pushed back and fell down the staircase. The girl hit her forehead on the stairs and was badly injured. She was rushed to the hospital immediately. One of the maids, worried and anxious, quickly took out her phone and called the girl's father. "Sir," she said trembling, "Atima is in the hospital. She's badly injured." Samuel's voice trembled with shock and worry. "What happened? Tell me exactly." The maid narrated everything: the fight, the pushing, and the injury. Samuel's heart pounded with fear and anger. How could such a thing happen? His child was hurt because of a moment of rage. Samuel hurried to the hospital. His heart pounded as he rushed through the busy corridors, finally catching sight of his daughter, Atima. Her tiny face was swollen, her lips were bruised, and her forehead bore a deep, angry swelling. Her eyes, though filled with pain, looked up at him. Samuel's heart ached painfully. He gently held her hand, tears filling his eyes. Seeing her so hurt, he knew he had to confront the truth about Ada and everything that had happened. That evening Samuel returned home, his mind heavy with worry and pain. As he entered the house, he saw Ada sitting quietly in the sitting room. Her face was emotionless, as if she had shut away all her feelings. She was calm, cold, distant, and resolute. Samuel looked at her sadly, his voice trembling as he asked, "Why, Ada? I gave you so much freedom. I only asked you not to do one thing, just one. But you did it anyway." Ada looked at him steadily. "I see you've already taken sides without hearing my side," she replied calmly. Samuel's voice cracked with emotion. "I've heard everything from the maid. I understand she explained everything to me. But still, you shouldn't have done it." Ada's expression hardened slightly. "Why shouldn't I? Is my daughter not your child too? Is she any less of your blood? Whatever promise I made to you, Samuel, was when I didn't have a child. And now that I am a mother, I am responsible for her. I will not allow anyone to bully her in her own father's house. You need to caution those children of yours because henceforth, I will not tolerate their excesses," she said, her tone firm, warning him. Samuel's heart shattered. His duty and love fought within him, but he couldn't deny the pain. Without warning, he looked at her with a broken voice and said, "This marriage is over." Ada's face remained unmoved. Calmly she replied, "Fine." Without hesitation, she turned and headed to her room. She packed her belongings silently. As she passed by Samuel's door, she heard him crying inside. His sobs were quiet but raw, an ache that echoed through the silent house. She didn't go in. She only paused for a moment, smirked softly, and then left. Instead of returning to her parents' home, Ada stopped by her close friend Maria's house in the same city. She entered, still carrying the weight of her emotions, and poured her heart out. Maria listened carefully, her face full of concern. "Ada, you shouldn't have left without apologizing to your husband. Maybe things could have been different. Samuel loves you so much. I believe he would have forgiven you if you had spoken to him." Ada shook her head. "I know he loves me and I love him too. But I also know he can't stay angry forever. Once his anger subsides, he'll call me, beg me to come back. And that's exactly what I'm waiting for." She looked at her friend with a determined smile. "When he calls, I will give him conditions. Conditions that will put me in charge. I will be the one to control everything in that house. That's why I left. I know what I'm doing. This is for the best." Maria looked at her with concern, but Ada was firm. She believed her plan was the only way to take control, and she was ready to face whatever came next. Days turned into weeks, then weeks into months. Still Samuel did not call. Ada waited anxiously, her heart pounding with hope and worry. Her friend Maria watched her, concern etched deep into her face. One day Maria finally broke the silence. "Ada, you mean your husband still hasn't called you? After all this time?" Ada's eyes filled with tears. "I'm just as worried. This is so unlike him. Samuel is not the kind of man to stay silent for 2 days, let alone a whole month. Something is wrong. I need to find out what's going on." Without hesitation, Ada picked up her phone and called one of the maids from Samuel's house, someone she knew was loyal to her. The maid answered quickly, her voice trembling with concern. "Madam," the maid said softly, "your husband is not doing well. He's been coming home very drunk lately, and he looks very miserable. Sometimes he just stays in his room and he's not himself." Ada smirked. Even though he's so miserable without me. His pride won't let him call. Let's see how long he can hold out like this. Keep me updated on everything, she said. 2 months passed. Still no call from Samuel. Then one day the maid called again. Madam, she said hesitantly, there's something you should know. A lady has been coming to take care of your husband lately. Yesterday she didn't leave your room. She stayed the night and she left this morning. Ada's heart froze. Her mind raced with anger and pain. That's it, she whispered to herself. Samuel has crossed the line this time. Her stomach twisted with betrayal. She immediately began calling Samuel's friends and family members, trying to understand what was happening. But they all told her the same thing. Samuel refused to listen. He had already made his decision. No one could change his mind. Realizing that this was no longer a minor issue but a serious issue, Ada's heart shattered. She was overwhelmed by grief and confusion. Desperate, she called their pastor, begging him to help her reconcile with her husband. The pastor agreed to arrange a meeting. He invited Ada's parents and Samuel to a reconciliation session, hoping to mend their broken bond. When they all gathered, Ada's voice trembled as she poured out her pain. Please, Samuel, forgive me. I never meant to hurt you. I love you so much. Samuel looked at her with sad, tired eyes. There is nothing to forgive anymore, he replied softly. I do not hold any grudges. I have accepted it as my fate, to never be happy again. I cannot take you back as my wife. Ada's tears spilled over. She fell to her knees before him, clutching his hands. Samuel, please, she begged, her voice trembling with emotion. Why? What has happened to us? Samuel's voice cracked as he recounted his past. 8 years ago, Samuel had lived with his late wife, Hannah, for 11 years, yet they had no children. He had a medical condition that made him unable to father children. Despite this, Hannah was hopeful and faithful, always believing that God would perform a miracle. She would constantly console him, encouraging him to stay hopeful. She placed him on special diets, hoping to improve his condition, praying tirelessly for a miracle. And then one day, their prayers were answered. It was a day of joy, a day that changed everything. Hannah, his beloved wife, discovered she was pregnant. Samuel remembered the moment vividly. One evening, Hannah called him. Her face was lit with a glow of happiness, and her eyes sparkled with joy. Samuel, she said softly, I have news. I am pregnant. We are going to have a child. Samuel's eyes widened with disbelief. His heart pounded with excitement. Are you serious? He asked. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. Yes, my love. God has answered our prayers. We are blessed. 3 months into the pregnancy, Samuel threw a celebration. A big party that brought together friends, family, and neighbors were invited to rejoice. He opened the large open ground they used for gatherings, decorated with colorful cloths and lanterns. He stood in the center, holding his wife's hands, and announced to the crowd, Eat, drink, and be merry. The Lord has visited my household. He has blessed my wife with the fruit of the womb. Everyone cheered, dancing and singing in joy. The atmosphere was filled with joy, gratitude, and celebration. Samuel and Hannah's love story had been tested, but now their hope had borne fruit, a miracle that filled their hearts with happiness. But that joy was short-lived. Hannah's first antenatal visit revealed the truth. She was pregnant with twins. The ultrasound confirmed it. But there was a grave warning. Both pregnancies were ectopic, meaning the babies were growing outside her womb, and the risk of losing her life was extremely high. The doctors' faces were grave as they explained. You must abort immediately, they urged her. It's the safest option. Continuing this pregnancy could cost you your life. Hannah looked at her husband, her eyes filled with determination. Is there any chance I can carry them to full term? She asked. The doctor hesitated. It's possible but very dangerous. You have a 30% chance of surviving, and the risks of complications are high. We advise against it. Hannah looked into her husband's eyes and, after a moment of silence, made her decision. "I am willing to take the risk," she declared firmly. "I want these children. I believe God can still do miracles." Despite the doctor's pleas, she refused to abort. Her husband's heart was heavy with sorrow. "Please, honey," he begged. "Listen to what they're saying. I don't want to lose you. Think about your life. Think about our future." But Hannah was resolute. "Don't forget, Samuel," she said softly. "You announced this pregnancy to the world. People are expecting our baby. I've waited all my life for this. I will not give up now." Her voice trembled with emotion. "If God blessed us this once, I believe He can do it again. I want to bring these babies into the world. No matter what happens, I will fight for their lives." Her husband's eyes filled with tears. "I love you so much," he whispered, holding her trembling hand. "But your life is more precious than anything. Please reconsider. I beg you." But Hannah's mind was made up. "I am not ready to let go of this blessing," she said fiercely. "After all these years, after the shame, the mockery, the tears, you think I will give up so easily? God has finally blessed us, and I will fight for them with all I have." Days turned into weeks, and she clung to hope. She endured pain, discomfort, and the fear that haunted her every moment, but she refused to give up. She believed her miracle was still possible. 8 months, 9 months, and then the day came. Hannah's body was failing her. She was rushed to the hospital, barely able to breathe. The doctors worked desperately to stabilize her. When they finally prepared for surgery, Samuel's trembling voice broke through his tears. "Please," he begged the doctor, "save my wife at all costs. Do whatever it takes." Hannah, almost unconscious, heard his plea. Her voice was faint but clear as she grasped the doctor's hand. "Save my babies," she whispered, tears streaming from her eyes. "This is my last wish." The doctor hesitated. The risk was enormous. But seeing her resolve, he nodded and prepared for a cesarean section. The operation was tense and difficult, but ultimately, the doctor succeeded in delivering a boy and a girl, beautiful, tiny, and fragile. Hannah was barely alive. Her eyes fluttered open as she saw her husband entering the room, exhausted and trembling. She reached out and took his hand. "Promise me," she whispered, her voice faint but urgent. "Promise me you will take care of our children. And if you ever remarry, promise me you won't let her hurt them, our children." He fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. "Honey, what are you saying? Nothing will happen to you. You're going to be fine. Just hold on." But Hannah's grip was strong, her voice commanding. "Promise me, I don't have much time, give me your word," she insisted. "I give you my word, any woman who dares to harm our children will cease to be my wife." He looked into her eyes, helpless and broken. "I will protect our children. No one will lay a finger on them. I give you my word." She nodded weakly, clutching his hand tightly. "Swear it," she demanded. "Swear it on my life." He nodded again, tears blurring his vision. "I swear it," he whispered. Her grip loosened. Her eyes fluttered closed for the last time. She took her final breath, leaving behind her husband and their 2 tiny miracles, Idiongo and Atima, symbols of her unwavering faith and love. Samuel stayed by her side, overcome with grief. He named the babies in her honor, calling them Idiongo, the sign of, and Atima, true love, the sign of true love. He looked at his children, tears streaming down his face, and whispered, "Your mother loved you more than life itself. I promise to protect you and keep her memory alive." Turning back to his wife, Ada, after recounting the past, his voice cracked as he said, "Now you have your answer, Ada. I am bound by that oath." Ada, still trembling and tears streaming down her face, reached out and clung to her husband's hands. Her voice, choked with grief and desperation, begged him softly, "Samuel, please. Don't forget you also made me a promise. That nothing would break our bond, that you would love me till the end of your days. Don't let our love die like this. Please, I'm begging you, don't let go of us." Her eyes searched his, pleading for the love, the hope, the promise they had once shared. I know you're hurt, I know you're angry. But we are still alive and we still have a future. Please remember the vows we took, the love we promised each other. Don't let your past tear us apart forever. Samuel looked at her, his face a mixture of sorrow and resolve. His voice was heavy with emotion as he gently shook his head. Ada, he said softly, I did promise you that nothing would break our bond. I swore I would love you till my last breath. But I also told you that I exempted my children from that promise. I swore to care for them, to keep them safe, and to ensure no harm comes to them. That is the oath I took, an oath I cannot break. He paused, tears welling in his eyes. I love you, Ada. I will always love you. But we cannot be husband and wife again. I have to honor the oath I made to my late wife. I hope one day you will understand. Ada's heart shattered as she listened. Her voice was barely a whisper, filled with pain and longing. Samuel, I understand your duty, but I also believe in our love. I believe that love is stronger than any pain, stronger than any promise made out of desperation. Please don't forget me. Don't forget us. He looked at her, his own tears falling freely now. I will never forget you, he whispered. You are always in my heart. But I have to go, for their sake, for my soul. With a final lingering look, Samuel gently released her trembling hands. He turned away, fighting back the tears, and slowly walked out of the room, leaving Ada kneeling there, broken and crying. And so, in the silence of that room, the love that once bound them, so pure, so strong, faded into memories. Ada remained on her knees, praying silently, holding on to the hope that someday, somehow, their love might find its way back to each other. But for now, their paths had diverged, shaped by sacrifice, promises. As we come to the end of this story, I want to leave you with some questions to ponder. First, what do you think about Samuel's decision to divorce Ada, despite his deep love for her, simply because of the oath he made to his late wife? Was he justified in prioritizing his promise over their love and family? Or should love and compassion have taken precedence? And second, do you believe Ada was wrong for physically punishing her husband's child after the girl caused her own baby to fall? Or was her action understandable, given her pain, frustration, and the emotional turmoil she was going through? Think about these questions. Reflect on what love, promises, sacrifice, and forgiveness truly mean. Sometimes life tests our hearts in ways we never expect. What would you have done in their place?